They told you the sky was infinite, that the stars were burning gas balls trillions of miles away, that rockets pierced the atmosphere and floated freely into space. But what if none of that was true? What if we've been living under a sealed construct, a firm, unbreakable dome with water above it? Today, we're diving into the ancient truth they erased from science, erased from schoolbooks, and erased from your memory. We're going to crack the firmament, decode the water above, and ask the ultimate question. What's really on the other side? And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So there was water above the firmament and water below it. That means Earth isn't floating in infinite black space. We're sealed inside a construct, a contained realm, like a cosmic womb. The firmament is the crystal dome, and above it, water, pure source water. Maybe even the original ocean of the heavens, the waters of life. This is why the ancients called the sky the waters above. It's why stars twinkle like they're shining through liquid. It's why rockets curve and never go straight up. It's why they tell you space is a vacuum, to hide what's really above. The real stars? Reflections in that water. The fake NASA stars? Just projections under the dome. And the exit? It's not a spaceship, it's through the water gate. Genesis 1:6 didn't hold back. It says God divided the waters with a firmament. That's not metaphor, that's architecture. A barrier, a vault, a crystal ceiling. The waters above weren't just clouds, they were literal waters. The Hebrew word for firmament is rakia. It means something hammered out like metal. Solid, spread out, protective, sealed. Not a concept, a structure. And every ancient culture agreed. The Sumerians, Egyptians, Norse, Vedic texts, all of them spoke of a dome, a ceiling, a layer that separates the world of men from something divine. So why do stars shimmer like they're underwater? Why do amateur balloon launches show a flat horizon and a curve only when the lens distorts? Why does water cling to the sky in simulation test chambers like there's pressure above? Because the vacuum of space is a lie. There is no such thing as a perfect vacuum in nature. You can't have gas pressure without a container, and the container is the firmament. NASA knows. That's why their logo shows the serpent tongue through the stars. That's why they never give us real photos, just composites and CGI. Because if you saw the dome, you'd start asking what's behind it. And if you knew it was water, you'd remember the flood. The flood wasn't just below. Genesis 7:11 says, "The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened." Wait, what windows? The flood came from below and above. That means the waters above can be released, and they have been before. Every flood myth, from Atlantis to the Hopi to the Book of Enoch, tells of a time when the sky opened, when the firmament cracked and the world drowned. But what if that's what they're trying to trigger again? Chemtrails, HAARP, weather weapons? Could they be trying to break the firmament from within? What's above the waters? The Book of Enoch says the Most High sits above the waters, that his throne is beyond the firmament, that the stars are living beings placed within it. So what's really above? Another realm, an unfallen heaven, a purified ocean, the original waters of source, and maybe the exit gate. That's why the ancients called it the Sea of Glass. That's why the Bible says the heavens were rolled back like a scroll. Because the sky is not the sky, it's a veil, a barrier, a seal, and only the ones who remember will see through it. If the sky was endless space, why do rockets always curve sideways instead of going straight up? Because they can't break the dome, they're not escaping Earth, they're being redirected fast. Every launch follows a parabolic arc, then disappears into the Bermuda Triangle of CGI. That's why NASA faked the moon landing. That's why we lost the technology to go back. Because they never left. Because you can't leave. Buzz Aldrin even said it. We didn't go, right to a child's face. Because the firmament doesn't negotiate with liars. Look at the stars through a Nikon P900. What do you see? Not balls of gas, but pulsing, vibrating, colour-shifting lights dancing in fluid, like they're underwater. Because they are. The firmament bends and refracts like a lens. It splits light, redirects it, makes distance impossible to measure. It's why Polaris never moves, why no star parallax can prove deep space. We're not spinning through galaxies, we're still sealed, watched. They told you stars were distant, but they're closer than you think. Like keys, waiting to be remembered. Why does every ancient map point to the centre? Why did all compasses once lead to a mountain called Mount Meru? Because it's the pillar under the firmament, the axis of the world, and possibly the exit. The firmament touches the earth at the poles. but they sealed the South Pole with Antarctica and militarized the North Pole with silence. Ask yourself why no one is allowed to cross Antarctica. Why the Antarctic Treaty is the only agreement the nations never break. Because what's beyond the ice is the edge of the sky. When Christ died, the veil was torn, the sky darkened, and the earth quaked. That wasn't just symbolic. The veil wasn't a curtain, it was the firmament. He came from beyond the waters, walked on water, parted the sea, ascended into the clouds. He broke the code of the dome and showed us how to do it. The living water he spoke of, it wasn't from a well. It was from above the sky. You are the storm that breaks the ceiling. The reason they poison the air, spray the sky, and hide the stars is because they know what's coming. The seal will break again. But this time it won't be water falling down, it'll be flames rising up. The ones who remember, the ones with the spark. You're not here to escape in a rocket, you're here to crack the firmament from within. To wake the sealed ones, to remember the code, to become the storm that floods the sky. Because the water above was never your prison, it was your mirror. And now it's time to break it. The firmament isn't glass, it's coded light. They call it glass, crystal, or even ice, but the firmament isn't made of physical material. It's made of light-bound frequency, coded resonance, like a locked vibrational field. That's why the stars hum, why somatics reveals perfect geometry in water, why ancient temples aligned with stargates, because they were syncing to the dome's resonance. The firmament is alive, a bioelectric ceiling that reacts to vibration, sound, and intention. It doesn't need bricks, it needs programming. And you, flame-bearer, are a frequency disruptor. Dreams are gateway keys. Ever had a dream where you flew up only to slam into an invisible wall? That wasn't your imagination, that was the ceiling of this realm. But there's a secret. Dreams are not dreams, they're tests of escape routes. Every time your soul tries to leave this matrix, it maps the edges. That jolt you feel when falling asleep, that's you hitting the firmament in the astral, the firewall. To pass through, you must vibrate higher than the seal itself. That's why parasites lower your frequency, so your soul never reaches the gate. The waters above are alive. This is the part they fear most. The waters above, they're not just floating oceans, they are conscious, sentient, watchful. Ancients called them the waters of the throne. The Bible calls them the sea of glass. The Book of Enoch describes layers of heaven with a terrifying, thundering ocean beyond the stars. When a soul is pure, aligned, and coded with flame, that water becomes a mirror that opens. But when a soul is fallen or bound by the grid, that water becomes a barrier. It reflects back every false light. Who's guarding the gate? There's a reason the stars have names, a reason angels were called watchers. A reason ancient cultures spoke of dragons, phoenixes, and flaming swords at the edge of the sky. They weren't myths, they were guardians of the exit. The four royal stars, Aldebaran, Regulus, Antares, Fomalhaut, form the Stargate cross in the sky. Some souls return through them, others are blocked. Seraphim, Ophanim, thrones. They spin and rotate like wheels of fire. You must be recognised. You must match their fire. Otherwise you fall back into the loop. How they keep you below the waterline. They fill your sky with chemicals, your blood with metals, your mind with loops, all to keep you under the water pressure of the dome. They inverted the sun with a light box. They replaced the true sky with a fake one. They made you forget you could rise. They tell you heaven is above, but in truth heaven is through. Through the veil, through the gate, through the water. And the only ones who make it are the ones who remember what came before the dome. You were never meant to stay here. You've always felt it. This world doesn't fit. The pain, the lies, the ceiling you can't see but feel. It's because you were born with the memory of freedom. The dome was never your home. The stars are not your limit. The waters above are not to be feared. They are to be parted. You are the breaker, the storm, the exit map. When the sky cracks, you'll be the flash of fire they never saw coming. Let them build rockets, you'll ride the gate of flame. Because the firmament was never above you, it was beneath you all along. They told you to aim for the stars, to dream of space, to believe in planets and probes and pictures painted by liars. But the sky was never the destination. It was the lock, and you are the key. The flame in your chest was coded before birth. It remembers the waters. It remembers the veil. It remembers the time before the dome fell. You were never meant to stay in this loop. You were meant to rise through it. So the next time you look up at the stars, don't wish on them. Challenge them, because when the waters above part and the firmament fractures like glass, only the ones who remember who they are will walk through the gate. And the rest will drown beneath a sky they never questioned.